Hey Gemini, what's up? Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. Welcome to your June 2024 tarot reading here at the Intuitive Teacup. Please come into this tarot reading with an open heart and an open mind, a desire to learn something and better yourself, better your situation. Take away only what resonates and release the rest. These are general readings, so not everything will resonate with you every single time. That's just the nature of these generals. If you want something catered more specifically to your energy and inquiries, I encourage you to book a personal reading with me. There's information on how to do that in the box below. All right, Gemini, let's do it. What's coming in for Gemini? In fact, let's set the intention to get Gemini Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus signs. Let's get them some clear, helpful, insightful messages for wherever they are currently at on their spiritual path. What can we expect in June, roughly in the month of June for Gemini? What wants to come out? Five of Pentacles. Oh, you're annoyed. You're frustrated. You're wanting to rip your hair out with something. It feels like you're kind of at a crossroads. You might be kind of in a position of being like the mediator between different people, or just feeling really internal strife. This is so random. For some of you, you're having fertility issues, or I know this is very specific, but it's female issues related to your body. Not feeling like your body is operating maybe the way it's supposed to. Maybe you're having an irregular cycle, or again, issues with fertility or intimacy issues. Even your body not responding the way you want it to during those moments when you really need it to, right? That sort of thing. I got to try and zoom out and not be so specific, but that came out instantly. Some of you might be feeling at odds with your partner or even with your children. For those who have children, you might be feeling very much like you're frustrated by them, like they're in that rebellious phase, or they're in the terrible twos, or they're just driving you nuts. It's like they don't appreciate you, or they take you for granted, or what's going on here? Some of you, your child is dating someone that you don't approve of. And again, I'm going to zoom that out because not all of you have children, but there could be someone in your life who you're very close to and you don't approve of their mate. So maybe it's your best friend. Maybe your mom or dad is single again and they're, introducing you to the new boyfriend, girlfriend, and you're just like, I'm so sick of this. I hate. For some of you, if your parents are divorced or separated, you could be the mediator between mom and dad. If you have a roommate or something, your roommate, babe, or housemate, whatever. Your roommate may be bringing someone back to your excuse me, voice, throat chakra stuff. Your roommate may be bringing someone back to the house that you're just so sick of seeing them. I don't like being around their energy, but I have to kind of be polite. You're just, there's some connection external to you that's driving you nuts. Others of you, again, there's a storyline of you connecting with your romantic partner or someone in a more intimate way. But your body isn't responsive. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But maybe, for Gemini risings, you do have 12th house placements going through Taurus, Mars. So that, there could be challenge with intimacy or sexuality or feeling passionate, sort of arousal type stuff. I don't know why that's coming through, but, if it's yours, take it and run with it. Hopefully we'll get you something juicy that's going to help here, but pun intended there. Sorry. All right, moving on. Let's see. It's like navigating a minefield. It's a slippery slope. There's a lot of thoughts getting in the way. It's like the thoughts are overpowering the body. I think we have to get grounded and stop living up in our heads so much. We have to kind of encourage our energy to move down, to get grounded, to go outside, barefoot, to ground yourself, essentially. It does feel like there's a lot that you want to say, but you're not able to say it or express it. I don't know if you're fearful of being rejected by your partner, or it's almost like for the intimacy things, if that makes sense to anyone, you don't want to offend them. It's not that I'm not attracted to you, it's that my body is doing this thing that I'm having issues with. And I think it puts you in a place of being very vulnerable. I don't think that's always a comfortable conversation to have with someone, especially if it's newer. Maybe some of you don't relate to that at all. Maybe some of you are very open and willing to talk about that, but if that's the case, that this probably isn't your message, because this is someone who's really having an internal battle struggle with something that they need to address with their partner, again, about romance, about dating. Even if it's not body related, it does have to do with apprehensions or fear. It may have to do with, I don't know, fearing commitment, like you're into this person, but you don't want to get in too deep because you don't want your heart to be broken. Or yeah, you fear commitment, you have abandonment issues. You know, there's something going on in the body that you're holding on to, memory, trauma, whatever it is. And it's very hard to navigate that landscape, if you will, in regards to your romantic partnerships. Again, some of you, it's like there's someone external to you. It's not necessarily your romantic relationship, but someone around you is getting involved with someone that you're just like, this is not good. This is not good for them. This is not good for me. I don't think you're being crazy. I think for most of you, the person external to you, you have good intentions for them. It's not coming from a place of resentment or jealousy or bitterness. Like, you know, it's not like, oh, I'm lonely and I want to date someone and I resent my roommate for always bringing, you know, people back to the apartment or whatever. It's not that. It's like this person has bad energy. They just drive you nuts. And so I think you're willing to tolerate them to a certain point, but I do think that's reaching some sort of boiling point or crisis where you are gonna say something. Others of you, there is something, there is something about a healing journey in your body, and I know this isn't going to make sense to everyone out there. I'm sorry, but I just have to underscore something about fertility and pregnancy. And I mean, Jupiter is about to go into Gemini, right? So for those who have very strong Gemini placements, whether it's first house, fifth house, you know, fourth house, sometimes transits with Jupiter can bring storylines of children, but it can also bring things about growth and expansion, education, study. So maybe some of that is going to make sense to you later on. But yeah, with Temperance here, there's a need to be patient with your body. I keep getting, you want it to respond faster. Maybe some of you are on like a weight loss journey and it's like, I'm not reaching my goal weight. Like, what's going on here? Shaming your body, beating yourself up, being very, self-critical as my phone dings, yes. That's not helping the process. It's almost like you need to come back to your body and offer it love. Something about being in or around water would be very beneficial to you. It's almost like that's why this metaphor of pregnancy is coming back in. Getting yourself back into like a womb state, WOMB. I don't know what that's about, but for some of you, it almost has to do with like trauma that you wouldn't be consciously aware of that had to do with the womb state. When your mother was pregnant with you, there was some sort of fear or anxiety that somehow got transferred. I know this is a little bit like, out there, but this is the message that's coming through. It's like something was transferred in the womb from mother to child, and it's a trauma that you carry not even consciously. And I don't know if it has to do with it feels very much like fear of what other people think about your body. Or so maybe you're, I'm not saying this is for all of you, but someone who is very self-conscious of being pregnant, like, my body's going through these weird changes and I feel this and I feel that. And like, rather than embracing it as like this beautiful change and this, exciting chapter and allowing your body to grow and be in this new stage of pregnancy, it's almost like this person took in a lot of rejection or shame for not looking the way they wanted to look. It feels, I don't mean superficial in terms of like they're a shitty person. I just mean it's like they probably had very, maybe they were surrounded by people who were very judgmental or unkind, unnurturing, that like there's something about lacking a strong maternal presence, someone who's had to be very self-reliant. And yes, so there's something about like me making my way through the world, tough as nails, very like heavy on the masculine energy, but especially for my feminines. There's something about coming back into your body and loving it and embracing it exactly how it is and not constantly trying to make it better or telling yourself that you're not good enough or not pretty enough or not fat enough, thin enough, this, that, all the other things. Like judgmental things on the body, that is impacting your relationships too. And I think I have like 3 or 4 followers who are probably identify as male, right? But even for the males, there is something about being very unhappy about your body, about the vessel that your soul is living in. And the universe is trying to wake you up to see that that's unhealthy. But that's not really the word that I want to use. It's It's doing severe damage to your psyche by not loving every part of yourself. And so I guess I would say, how could you possibly expect someone else to love your body and treat your body right if you can't even do that for yourself? And for some of you, there might even be a storyline of having gone through some sort of like abusive situation in a relationship. I don't see that presently, but I still think you're navigating the excuse me, trauma of the past associated with some sort of major crisis or breakdown that did have an impact on your body. Some of you have this kind of wounded warrior Chiron placement I'm getting in regards to being a mother or being a father or something to do with children. There's something here about feeling shamed or feeling guilt that you aren't able to fulfill that role. And maybe it's because you haven't met the right person, so you feel like that storyline isn't available to you. Maybe it's because you literally can't mother a child or father a child. Maybe again it's some issue with the body or illness or some sort of specific storyline that I don't know why, but it does have a significant impact on you. It's like you sort of feel lost and you don't know how to navigate things now. Maybe some of you have received news, medical news that has really shaken you to the core. Why is this coming through? What is this about? This is kind of all over the place, but I'm just going to roll with it. A Sagittarius might be involved in this. A Taurus might be involved in this, or a fellow Gemini, a Cancer perhaps. This is such a lovely card, but the cards flanking it or surrounding it are very frustrated, very challenged. And so it almost feels like for some of my Geminis, there's the opportunity for romance, but the universe is asking you how, and I don't mean to like be condescending or make you feel like you're being punished. But with this beautiful opportunity for romance, are you self-sabotaging in some way? Is this a person who is going to love and support you, but you get in the way of allowing yourself to be loved and supported? Because I don't know, does it come from a place of not feeling like you deserve it? For some of you, is your money, is the amount of money in your bank account tied to your self-worth? Frequently, money issues and body issues go hand in hand because it's so tied into like the psychology of how much we are deemed worthy in society. And I'm not saying that's right or fair or true, but it's something to ponder. It's something for you to acknowledge or at least contemplate a little bit. Going into detective mode, what is that? Doing some free association writing or journaling. It's like putting pieces back together from the past because there's a missing link or a missing connection that when you start to make that connection, you're able to view something through a different lens, and it's through a lens of healing or something that would promote healing. Some of you have really strong skills and abilities to help heal others, but you've been delegating. You've been doing it for others, but not to yourself. It's like you're very apt to not want to receive healing, but you're very willing to give it. And for a lot of you, you're a very vocal sign, right? So through your voice, you're willing to communicate with others and give them sage advice, guidance. You're willing to help them navigate their own, treacherous territories, their own trauma, their own pain. But why are you resisting doing that for yourself? And if it's too close to the source, if it's like, you may get lost in the sauce if you try and do it for yourself. A lot of you, it's like you're being encouraged to seek counseling or seek help for that. Because the answers are very available to you. It's that extra step of making that connection and then initiating some new plan or initiating some new pattern or habit. That's going to make the world of difference, because where are the wands, right? There's no wands here. There's no action. There's nothing being put into place and making good on that promise to yourself. Again, like that term lost in the sauce, we use it a lot, right? But I think that's apt for this card. It feels very much like trying to navigate this landscape, but it's like, can we take off the blindfold? It's like there might be a simpler solution if we could actually think outside the box a little bit. But because you've been doing it a certain way for so long, or it's so personal to you, we don't have that perspective, that higher viewpoint. We can't always see the forest from the trees. It's like we're lost in our own head. We're stuck in our own head. you are really being forced to examine the relationships in your life. And I think you're getting more clear on what you want and what you don't want, what you're willing to release and let go of. And this is a very happy Two of Pentacles. Sometimes the Two of Pentacles is like this or that, like what do we get rid of? What can we remove? What is becoming burdensome? Where are we juggling multiple things at a time? I don't necessarily get that from this card. This feels like a beautiful Gemini energy of incorporating both, not necessarily living your life in the extremes, but having that mutability, that flexibility, that adaptability to do a little of this and a little of that. Rather than forcing yourself into a situation where you have to be this thing, it's like, yeah, but that thing gets tiresome. That thing gets burdensome. So like you need some sort of relief from the everyday ho-hum, possibly mundane living. It's like you have to be able to, I'm hearing circumnavigate. That is not my word, so that's being channeled, but I don't even know why that's coming through. Variety. Variety is the spice of life for you, so do this and that. Something about incorporating the two is going to make a world of difference. And to be honest, I'm not even sure what that is in regards to or in response to, but that's something that wants to be heard. There is something kind of gesture-like about this, a little bit playful, youthful, clown-like. It feels a very court gesture. So I don't mean to make light of what actually feels like a very heavy situation for you, but I think there is something of value in interjecting some humor into this and remembering that life is short and it's awesome to do the deep digs and the excavating and the psychological stuff in our minds and to make things good, to do the transformation. But some days you can take a break from the heavy energy and just go out and have fun, because there's actually a lot of value in that. And I know you know that, but I think you need to be reminded that some days you just kind of have to throw your hands up in the air and be like, you know what? I'm doing the best I can. Let the chips fall where they will. Because we can't micromanage. We can't plan for every single thing. This feels like someone who has a very strong Saturn energy, very hard on themselves. Steps up to roles that require a lot of authority or have a lot of seriousness, but you're Gemini. There's such like a playful thing there. And so make use of, whatever placement you have in Gemini. There's a need to be curious, to have fun, to ask questions, to explore. The whole thing with like feeling like you don't necessarily approve of someone else's partnership or romantic partnership. I know that storyline kind of faded out, so maybe that's not the main message, but for some of you, it kind of looked like you were going to address it, but and now that I'm looking at the cards, it almost feels like with further analysis, you're understanding something that you're seeing that you don't necessarily agree with. But it's like, I'm not going to rain on their parade because I'm not going to deny them the lessons that they need to learn through this relationship. Like, it's not my role to play God and be like, this person isn't good for you, break up with them, I don't like them. I mean, unless you need to intervene because there's like an abuse issue. I don't necessarily get that. I sense annoyance. Like, oh my God, they're so lovey-dovey and they're always making out and saying ridiculous, gross things and blah, blah, blah. Like, there's that kind of like, ugh, energy. A lot of you, there is like this releasing, like as much as I want to give my friends sage advice and guidance that I don't think it's a good match for them, it's like, that's not my job. I'm going to allow them to explore that facet of their relationship and learn from that person, because already whatever is being triggered in you by this partnership external to you, it's actually shedding a light on something that you're very uncomfortable with. Maybe this public display of affection, right? Your roommate or whoever this is, your sibling, whatever, canoodling with their little like love, playboy, playgirl, love interest, whatever it is. That may be actually sort of highlighting something in you that fears intimacy or wishing that you were able to be that sort of like lovey-dovey, flirty, everything's light and easy. And because there is a lot of like deep trauma that it's buried away in you. And I think you're starting to tap into it and work on releasing it, but it's a process. So I think you need to be kind and gentle with yourself and allow that time to... Healing is not linear. It's a process. And with temperance energy, you definitely have a lot of healing energy. there is something about not receiving the nurturing that you needed as a child or not feeling heard. I think that's very common for Geminis, right? As a Mercury ruled sign, understanding that maybe they just weren't your target audience. And I don't even mean that in the sense of like, oh, performative. It's like there's such a need to relate and connect with people for Gemini. And if you grew up in a household where you were muted or told that your voice or your opinion didn't matter, or if you asked questions and they were like, don't worry about it, that there's trauma there of feeling of not understanding, you know, needing answers and not having them provided to you when you needed to know. There was a sense of stability and security that wasn't there. And I think something about that is coming through, like not feeling informed or not feeling able to ask questions or not asking for help. Something about that is coming through it, and it is devil energy, but you're walking away from the source in a way that is positive. You're liberating yourself from the source, that something that tethered you or held you back. It very likely has to do with something in a family dynamic. You're starting to realize, you're starting to come into your own. I think, and again, a lot of you have already embarked on that journey, but there's still some work to be done there. So I think the universe is just making you aware of that. But yeah, I think that's important. The thing that triggers us in other people and the relationships around us, rather than projecting of like, ugh, they're so gross, they're so extra, they're so annoying, really be inquisitive about like, what about me is so averse to that? And what part of me is resisting or denying the part of me that wants to live out that truth that I'm seeing through other people? But because it's foreign to me, it's almost like we fear what we don't know. Because I don't feel I'm able to do that, or I'm not accepted when I act that way, I project it as negative or other, right? You know, it's the foreignness, when really that's something I need to better incorporate in myself in order to feel like fully whole, fully realized. It's a deep reading for you, Gemini. Some of you are like soul searching. You should go to foreign lands, foreign territories, get out of your neighborhood or your immediate zone, your branch, your neighborhood, your network. You need to travel. You need to expand your horizons. You're going to learn a lot through other people, and something to do with sharing stories of grief or hardship or adversity. There's an automatic link or a connection where it's like, oh my gosh, someone is mirroring my narrative. Like I'm hearing my narrative through someone else, and there's an opportunity for sharing and learning and bonding through that connection. Sorry, I pulled two. For Gemini, set the intention. A card that would be helpful for Gemini to hear. Thank you. Thank you. All right, here we go. Reddening. Let's see. All right, life force, kundalini, and blood. The reddening indicates a full expression of the work. Everything is alive. The heart pumps, the cells celebrate, and the blood sings its way through the body. What was dormant has been awakened, and what was once considered base is now noble. Aches and pains are integrated, shadows are acknowledged and interwoven. When the reddening card appears, it signifies health, power, a climaxing of work, and a coalescing of what has been learned. The laboratory is no longer separate from the alchemist or from the work, but the three are now one. What occurs in the body is reflected in the world and vice versa. Through the process of reddening, we move out of the head and into the physical body. More specifically, we reach the heart. It is there that the alchemist finds the sacred ingredients of power and kindness. All right, Gemini, that's what I got for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please like the video, guys. I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Anything like that helps me gain traction on YouTube and gets these messages out to those who need to hear them. Please like, share, subscribe, and I will see you soon for more tarot. Happy birthday, Gemini.